Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album War, of course, of the live persuasion, right? Today, we've got two heavyweight double live albums, one from 75, one from 79. One of them, many folks have been asking, when are you going to bring this one up? Who's this one going to battle, right? So, in one corner today, we've got Blue Oyster Cult, On Your Feet, On Your Knees, like I said, from 1975. And in the other corner, we've got that band that everybody's been asking for, that album everybody's been asking for, UFO Strangers in the Night. Okay? Two terrific live albums by two bands that I simply adore. Okay? Let's take a look at each one of them, why don't we? So the first one, On Your Feet, On Your Knees, would be the first live album of many, actually, that Blue Oyster Cult would release over the years. Let's take a look at this cool little booklet. It's got some pretty interesting photographs and things and what have you. All right. Pretty heavy album. All right. Kind of perfectly exemplifies what Blue Oyster Cult were all about at that point in their career. Of course, it's the first quarter of their career for the most part. Right. We got some great tunes from their first couple albums. All right. Specifically like the first three. So you've got kicking it all off with the Subhuman, which I absolutely love on this record. It's quite good. Harvester of Eyes, another great tune. Just some classic Blue Oyster Cult tunes, like I said, from the early part of their career. Hot Rails to Hell, energetic, quite good in this performance. The Red and the Black, awesome on here. Seven Screaming Disbusters, probably one of the heaviest versions of that particular tune. Then you got Buck's Boogie, which allows our man Buck Dharma to go playing some wicked-ass guitar, which he does all over this album. Okay, then came The Last Days of May, a perennial favorite among fans. A really good melodic tune sung by Buck. Cities on Flames with rock and roll, great tune, heavy. ME 262, one of my favorite Blue Oyster Cult songs, love it. Before the Kiss, a red cap, okay. Maserati GT, Ain't Got You, and then kicking it all off, or I should say finishing it all off, with a cover of Steppenwolf's Born to Be Wild, all right? Killer album. Probably the only real negative thing I can say about this album is it's really raw sounding. You know, not the greatest production on a live album you're going to hear. For some people, that's totally cool, right? Because you want it to sound kind of like it would if you were there in the audience, all right? But I think as far as like powerful performances, man, it doesn't get much better than this. I think that, Blue Oyster Cult's couple of live releases that they would put out over, say this one and the next two up to the early 80s, damn good, damn strong, okay? But again, a legendary live album, blistering performances, marred only by a slightly muddy sounds of the whole thing. But, for a lot of people, like I said, might not be a big deal. All right? On the other end of the ring, coming in, UFO Strangers in the Night. Notable for a bunch of things, all right? So this band, a British band, obviously Blue Oyster Cult from here in America, from New York State, Long Island to be specific. UFO, a bunch of British guys, and one hotshot young guitar player from Germany named Michael Schenker. All right, so if you know a little UFO history, they kind of started out as kind of like a blues rock / space rock band, okay, with a guy named Mick Bolton on guitar. Well, eventually he left. Bernie Marsden, all right, who would later be in Whitesnake and a bunch of other bands, came in for a brief time. But then the band were actually touring with Scorpions, German hard rock act, and they basically kind of stole away their young 15, or was he 16 years old, lead guitarist, whatever he was around that age, he was a teenager still, brought him into the band for a series of great studio albums, Phenomenon, No Heavy Petting, Force It, Lights Out, and Obsession, right? Before all sorts of problems started happening in the band, okay? And eventually Schenker's like, I've had enough, I'm leaving. But not before they recorded some shows, all right, on that Obsession tour. This is the result of that, all right? And then Schenker's gone. So by the time this is hitting the streets, Michael Schenker is already out of the band. Okay, but we've got what's left is a killer live album. I got my oldest husky Maya dancing behind me and making all sorts of ruckus here. You guys have never seen Maya, right? Yeah, Maya's not the kind of come up and say hello type of dog. She's beautiful though. So what do we got on here? A legendary live album. I've got the reissue, which has a couple extra tracks. So what they did was they basically kind of put a couple of those songs that were left off the double album for time constraints, obviously, and in the order they were played. Pretty sure that's what they did. So we got Hot and Ready, Cherry, and if you're hearing some of these songs and you're like, oh, that's not on my original album, like I said, on the reissue they kind of dropped those songs back in, which were in the original set. Let It Roll. Love to Love is epic on here. Okay, Natural Thing, one of my favorite songs by UFO. Love Natural Thing. Out in the Street, Only You Can Rock Me, one of their few kind of hits here in the U.S. Mother Mary, all right. This Kid's, Doctor Doctor, probably their most well-known song. Excuse me, I'm a Loser, Lights Out, another standout track from UFO. The incredible Rock Bottom, which includes, of course, a lengthy and amazing Michael Schenker guitar solo. I love the Rock Bottom version on here. Too Hot to Handle, and then kicking it all, or again, I said that again, ending it all off, culminating with the wonderful Shoot Shoot, another rousing, upbeat, heavy rocker from the band. So, this album has some pretty damn good production, right? This album was this Ron Nevison? Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Pretty sure it is, or was, I should say. Yeah, Ron Nevison actually worked with the band on the production of this album and did a fine job. All right, it's a great sounding album. Great vocals by Phil Mogg. The band is just firing on all cylinders, and this is probably contains some of Michael Schenker's best playing on any album ever. That's arguable, right? But amazing. Guy was like on fire here, just on fire, and you cannot beat the track list. I mean, it contains most of the best songs from those albums that I mentioned before. Okay, so there's a reason why this album is applauded by many as one of the greatest live albums of all time. So what do I think here? As all three of my dogs are gathering behind me, you can see tails, all sorts of stuff. Well, as much as I love Blue Oyster Cult and love this album, this is like a fifth round KO for me. All right, there's just not many albums that will beat this. That's just, and again, just my opinion, folks, but Strangers in the Night is one of the greatest live albums of all time. It's one of my favorite live albums of all time. So, and it's got, like I said, some of the best playing from one of my guitar heroes, Mr. Michael Schenker. So this gets the win for me. Fifth round knockout, okay? But that's not to discourage any of you who love this album, perhaps like it more, because it's a damn fine album. And I love Blue Oyster Cult to death. So, really, today is an excuse. There's no winners or losers here. It's just to talk about two fantastic live albums and why we love them so much, right? So, curious to see what you guys think. List your favorite, or if you don't want to pick one, just talk about both of these albums, why you like them so much, what are some of your favorite tracks on here. Again, we've got some, in my opinion, definitive versions of a couple songs on these albums. I know some of you would ask me to kind of talk about that a little bit. So, for me, Rock Bottom on here is like, this is the definitive version in my opinion, and actually a lot of these songs are definitive versions of these tunes, right? Same thing on here. You've got the Subhuman is fantastic on here. Seven Screaming Disbusters is just kick-ass. ME262, Cities on Flames. I mean, a lot of these songs, these bands, they released albums that were fantastic, but on stage those songs just took on a whole other level, right? Okay, because that's what these bands did. These bands excelled on the stage. So, again, curious to see your thoughts. Go visit us on the Facebook page. You can vote for either. Oh, just a little bit of programming news here. So, and I got this idea from a couple of you viewers. I think what I'm going to do is, especially for the live album war, okay, over the next month or so, we're going to see how long it takes for me to kind of get through all the classic live albums I have and put them into these little battles here. But I think what I'm going to do is on the Facebook page, polls. It's kind of hard to do it here on YouTube because there's no polling here on YouTube. And, in order for me to go count, so I'd have to go through every comments that's in here. And that's just going to take me forever. It's easy on Facebook because you obviously click and it puts your vote in and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each poll last 6 days. At the end of each 6 days, I'm going to take the winner of the poll. Okay, I'm going to put it in a list. All right, so the winner of each poll is going to get put into a list. And once I've kind of gone through all the live albums, all right, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the winners and I'm going to start putting them against each other in hopes that eventually we will get and find out what all of your favorite live album is of all time. Sounds kind of daunting, and it might be, but we'll see how it goes, all right? But that's kind of the idea that I've got going now. So we'll see how it goes. We only just started this a couple days ago, so this is something that probably will last for a while. So it'll be interesting to see which live album will reign supreme above all others, right? Be kind of fun. So also another note: I know a lot of you mean well, all right, but I am getting besieged by private messages on Facebook from folks saying, "Hey Pete, love the show, and I'm thankful. Can you do this album more? Can you do this album more? How about this album more? Pete, have you listened to this new album? Pete, have you checked out this band?" I'm getting hundreds a day, guys. And the problem is that I don't have the time to go read and respond to all of them. It's not that I'm ignoring you and I'm trying to be a jerk or anything like that. But the problem is, because there's so many messages that I have no time to weed through, messages from bands and record labels who are checking in about coverage on their albums, new releases, and so on and so forth. I'm not seeing them because they're getting buried in a sea of people reaching out to me asking about album matchups and have I listened to this band and all that kind of stuff. So guys, please, I appreciate it. I love the love, believe me. But I would prefer, if you want to ask me questions directly, please do it in the comments and feedback of the videos, because I check those all the time and I can easily answer you there. Okay, it's just a lot easier for me than trying to sift through and getting blasted all day long with messages through Facebook. Okay, it's just not a good vehicle for that. Okay, so I understand. Again, I'm not putting anybody down, and I'm just not trying to avoid stuff. But it's just I'm perfectly happy to answer people, but do it within YouTube, okay, here in the comments section, because the problem is, like I said, I'm just not seeing messages that I really need to answer, from bands and labels regarding coverage of their products, which, as you know, is the main reason why I do all this. So that's very, very important. So thanks, everybody. I know you understand, and I hope you can appreciate it. All right. So this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube each and every day. So we'll see you tomorrow morning with another classic live album war. But don't touch that dial, because I have got a review of this bad boy right here. All right. So you don't want to miss that. So we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.